afternoon, and good afternoon to viewers.
Indeed, it's a pleasure having you in our studio this afternoon.
Thank you.
Just to begin, take us through the main idea of this project, would you?
So the main idea of this project is predicated on the fact that the health sector has had series of challenges, and we all are aware during the Ebola epidemic and also during the COVID. World Bank has been supporting us. They supported us during the Ebola epidemic, and we had some projects with the bank so that we can handle our health sector challenges. And some of those projects are focused on health system strengthening. But when COVID-19 again came, we all realized that the health sector was a little bit stronger after EVD, but still weak for health security. So it is on the basis of that this new project, the Serial Quality Essential Health Services and System Support project, was developed with focus on maternal child care so that we can reduce drastically the maternal child health mortality and mobility you spoke about, but also to strengthen the health systems, because you will only drastically reduce the maternal and child mortality rates when you have the health systems strengthened. So that is how we came to this project, and we have done everything possible in terms of the design and monitoring of the project to deliver on the mandate of His Excellency, but also the Minister, quoting reducing maternal mortality ratio from 717 to 300.
Surely, so I believe the gesture is in good faith. But the thing is, let's take it step by step. You speak about strengthening sectors, under the health infrastructure. Which particular sectors are you referring to? Because, for instance, we do have, our country is grossly understaffed with medical, officials. We don't have much doctors. Nurses are scarcely insufficient as well. So people who can actually do the job are not even present. How can we fix things?
So that is exactly what this project is about. And what we have done over the years, particularly in the last 2 years, which was the period during which this project was designed, was to develop the National Health and Sanitation Policy, also the National Health Sector and Strategic Plan, and then a healthcare financing strategy for the first time.
All of these strategies?
Yes. So in that strategy, you will see that the health system, that's what we refer to as the health functions, health systems functions, and the challenges facing the country were well articulated. So this project, obviously we have 6 of them from the World Organization, but we had articulated 7 because of our own peculiar context. And so this project is focusing on the health systems issues, like the health workers you made mention, issues around drugs, issues around health management information system, issues around quality, because quality is peculiar to us. All of us who are aware about the free healthcare, one of the issues we had with free healthcare was the quality of services. So it is these health systems that this project will support, with focus on delivering services, particularly maternal and child health services, in order for us to reach and achieve the impact. Mark you, the impact is not just reducing the maternal and infant mortality rates, but also to achieve the SDGs. The Ministry of Health contributes to SDG 3.8. And so these are all articulated well in those our national documents, but also in this project.
Doctor, I don't mean to sound immodest, but we have launched, a lot of health schemes in Sierra, most of which have colorfully failed. The country remains formidably challenged. What difference can this scheme make?
The difference is in the process. I told you about the design of this project and lessons learned previously, but also in everything, to make remarkable success, leadership counts. So the current leadership of the ministry and of the government, the health issues are among the 3 critical issues His Excellency the President is focusing on. And
in essence, you're saying we didn't have a formidable leadership then?
I am not saying that, but what I'm trying to say, and I drive this strongly, is that leadership counts when you want to make a difference. Okay. And what we have here is that we have the true strong leaders, His Excellency in the first place, and also the minister. And obviously the policy documents I have spoken about, because sometimes when we try to design projects just in space, they are problematic. But here it is predicated on a national health and sanitation policy, national health sector strategic plan, and a roadmap for the achievement of universal health coverage. So with all this and the new impetus from these leaders, you already know that we have reduced maternal mortality from 1,360, usually the UN agencies we give account of, to 717 per 100,000 live birth I just mentioned. But that is not enough. This leadership has said that target is too high, and therefore we should work towards 300 per 100,000 live birth. So leadership is important in delivering results.
Now, we have mentioned the insufficiency of health workers. I mean, it's a cocktail of other issues which continue to plague the health sector in Sierra Leone. Why focus on maternal mortality?
Again, you should know, and I hope the people out there know, that human resource is important when it comes to quality of care. It is the human beings that are providing the services. But also the maternal and child health experts know that we talk about skilled birth attendants, skilled birth personnel, sometimes we refer to. But the important thing here is that when you are a skilled birth attendant, it means you have the skills to deliver the services. So therefore, for us to make that drastic change that is driven by sound leadership, we have to make sure we focus on human resource. There are many aspects of human resource. One aspect is actually the numbers, the skill mix, but also the attitude of health workers. So in terms of attitude, you need the good leadership to drive the way we think and the way we do things. And once we do that at leadership level, and people say we lead by example, you would have seen how Connaught has been fixed in a very short time. So I focus on leadership even for the human resource. Okay. For you to make sure you address the human resource issues, you have to have the right leadership, and that is what exactly we are counting on strongly in this instance.
Right. Dr. Francis Smart, Director of Policy Planning and Commission, Ministry of Health and Sanitation, continues to stay with me on the podium this afternoon. Now, 17 years ago, in 2005, the University of Sierra Leone was restructured by the Universities Act of 2005 as the parental head of all academic institutions of higher learning in Sierra Leone. The university is critically outstretched by swelling numbers of students, limited lecturers, and meager resources to cater for its needs. Convocational preparations at USL are always marked by excessive tension, chaos, disappointment, and utter trauma for some students. The 2021 congregation ceremonies for all 3 constituent colleges of the university are scheduled to take place on 6th, 7th, and 8th of this month. But till this 11th hour, grades of a massive crowd of students remain unpublished. There is a short supply of memorabilia, cassocks, hoods, and other academic regalia. Abject panic looms among students who think their fate of making a momentous and long hoped for exit out of the university has or is being bitterly crushed. Would the ceremonies continue as planned amidst the cocktail of seeming disorganization? Well, this afternoon I do have Director of Media, Alumni and International Relations, University of Sierra Leone, Dr. Tonya Musa. Good afternoon. Welcome, Doctor.
Good afternoon, and thanks for having me.
Isn't it ironic that after 17 years, the university is still struggling with petty issues like this?
I don't know, 17 years of what?
Since 2004?
Okay, well, that was the period when the university was reconstituted. But then we have the new Act 2021 of the Universities Act 2021 of Sierra Leone, and we are still the University of Sierra Leone. And now coming to the issue about the struggling with congregation, we are not struggling with congregation. We improve after every experience. We used to have a day for the ceremony. Now we are talking about 3 days for the ceremony. Basically realizing that the number has grown so much that we cannot easily do it effectively using a day or on a day. We have chosen to use 3 days. Now, like you said earlier on, we have the College of Medicine and Allied Health Sciences, which will be together with the School of Postgraduate Studies on the 6th of April. And the following day, which will be the 7th of April, will be for IPAM. And then the 8th of April will be for FBC. So basically, considering the population, at FBC, IPAM, and then the School of Postgraduate Studies and Commerce, we now have 3 days to have this ceremony. Going further, earlier on we have informed the graduates, that means graduating students, about the requirements to fulfill in terms of being eligible for graduation, which is also very important in terms of quality management. We are going to award degrees, and it is going to be based on credibility, and we want to ensure that there is integrity in the process. Meaning, if you are a student graduating, first of all, you must have completed, or met your academic requirements. Meaning, you should not have outstanding trailers or reference grades, and then you should have also completed your thesis or dissertations for assessment. Second aspect also was that you must have also fulfilled your financial obligations. In this case, you should not have any outstanding fees arrear. So we check for that. And then those students also who are still before the disciplinary committee waiting for verdict, or they are still under investigation, should not be part of this process. That was made clear. And then the exit verification started 3 months ago. The purpose of the exit verification is to ensure that those students graduating were genuinely admitted into the program, and then the semesters that they are required to complete, so that they can collate or they can compile their grade point average, semester grade point average, and then also cumulative grade point average. They are going to check all of those things to see that the student had met the academic requirements, and then including the fees. So those processes have been going on, and then coming to the point for conferment of degrees, which will start tomorrow, they were also told that we are using the customized regalia of the university, and after payment you go and collect your regalia. That process has been on for the past 2 weeks, so I don't know what actually was the problem as you read in the headline.
Now, most students haven't seen their grades, nor have they had their names made it into the congregation booklet. The reality is that the university is grossly understaffed. A single lecturer handles more than 3 modules in some departments. The number of students has gravely skyrocketed. Some weeks ago, a video made rounds on social media showing students squatting on the floor, as they were being lectured. There are insufficient classrooms for students. It would seem the university is grossly disorganized, wouldn't it, Doctor?
So many things put together. But I will systematically respond to, the lots you have packed. The issue about what went on viral social media was fake. Go to Frobe College specifically as we speak. We have enough classrooms for lectures as we speak.
Are you saying all departments do?
All departments as we speak now. We have lecture facility as far as tree planting.
Even social works.
Indeed. We have in fact rearranged, the classroom situation by splitting bigger or larger classes into affordable or manageable sizes. That have been addressed as we speak. Now going further, you were talking about understaff. Yes, the fact is we don't have the lecturer-student ratio as you might think about other universities, but we are trying as best as possible to use what we have for the moment. And then you also mentioned about grades that are yet to be published. We don't have that situation. Sincerely speaking, we have published all grades leading us to the conferment of degrees. There are students who are required to do exit verification, which I told you about, which started 3 months ago.
So these are the students.
So those students deliberately did not go for the exit verification. And if you are going now to do so, then it becomes problematic. You are required to do the exit verification. Some deliberately promoted themselves from lower level to higher level. And when they were asked to come for verification, knowing what they have done, they decided not to appear. And you cannot have a miracle tonight. You come to do verification and then you want to graduate tomorrow. No. What we have done is that as long as you are in the system, you have to be verified. And then when you do the verification, if there are problems like missing grades, then we will now, work together to see that we address that amicably. If not, you are not going to be part of the congregation ceremony come 6, 7, and 8. But then at any time you are verified, then you have met all the requirements, your results will be published. Then the student will have rights to what we call statement of results, or if you want whatever evidence to show that you have passed, that could be made available to you. And then we will now wait for the next congregation ceremony, and then you will be part of it.
Another thing is this, it would seem fair to you, I don't know, if at all I might ask the question, would it seem fair to you, to charge each student 1,500,000 leones?
I don't know.
That is $150 just to rent congregation regarding.
I think that was also misrepresented. It was not just to rent. You have a package. The student would have told you, including, you understand, the what you call the folder or the file that you could use for your degree certificate at the end.
The file?
Yes.
You mean?
Yes.
The designed booklets.
Something like that which you can use, you understand, also customized with the university logo and other things. You can use that to hold your certificates. It makes it more presentable. And then apart from that also, we now have a yearbook, an initiative different from those who graduated before now. Now we used to have brochures just for the congregation ceremony, where we have names of students by faculties. This time around, we have a book called Yearbook, and the book is designed, in a way that you have each campus has its own book, and then the name, the picture, the program, or the degree of the student or the graduate or the graduating student is there. So it's just a matter of using that book again. To me, we consider it as something additional souvenir that the graduating students can use.
Can all students have access to that?
Pardon?
Can all students have access
Exactly. To that? Now, as long as you are graduating this year, 2 months ago we started the process. We asked all graduating students to have their photographs, and then 2 weeks ago we asked them also to do verification in terms of their names as against their pictures and other information, because this is something we think is unique and is happening in other universities. You have what they call the yearbook. We are going to do that this year. The cost for the yearbook, the cost for the regalia, and also what I told you, additional facilities are all put together in that package. And considering even what we are talking about now, the cost of items, can you compare what you paid 2 years ago to graduate to be the same as those graduating now, considering the cost of items generally, cost of production? So I don't think it's unaffordable. Going to the university, I think we have a specific area in the application wherein we ask people to undersign guarantors who will take care of the students throughout the journey in the university. You are coming to where services are paid for, and then you want to ensure that you get the best out of it. So it is good for us to maintain quality. So to say whether it is sincere, yes, we are quite sincere in terms of what we have asked them to pay for a ceremony which is not put on quote under a mango tree. We expect them to sit somewhere conducive, and they are going to have something credible.
Are there some academics who got their degrees elementary?
Well, you are following what is happening on social media, that there is a university conferring PhDs on a mango tree. So we are not going to do something like that.
So you'll be using the amphitheater?
We are going to go to the Ajayi Crowther amphitheater.
Doctor, finally, you have a lot of cassocks, hoods and gowns. As I speak, hundreds of students are without congregation regalia. Time is a luxury the university doesn't have.
That is false. Misleading also. We have bundles of it that we are not even going to use tomorrow. The argument is...
I spoke about 4 of them before coming on the air.
That is what I'm saying. Just present them to the public on video so that they could see them. And then you go to our business center.
Isn't this some sort of population spinning?
No, it's nothing like spinning. We have it. We have our regalia. You understand? And in fact, no, you can't access, first of all, if you are not being eligible to graduate. That is the first thing. Secondly, if your result has not been published, we don't give it to you. And this is why we want people to understand only what we have given out is what we will permit tomorrow or accept. So we have to be quite clear about that. We have enough. We have what we are using for postgraduate, we have what we are using for undergraduate. We have enough.
Are you still distributing gowns as I speak?
We have completed that process. But the offices or the centers are still open for those who are traveling from the regions to come. As long as you have evidence of payment, we will give it to you. It means you get a complete package. But again, what is very important is the arrangement to move to Furabe College tomorrow, the 7th and the 8th, to access and to exist. It's also very important. We have to get people, to be aware of what we are doing. It's very important. We have already issued out notice. The police had, started engaging the public together with us, informing them the need to maintain law and order. And then also people need to understand that whatever measure we are taking, at some point there should be or there may be inconvenience. But we want them to understand that it's about public safety, and then it's about ensuring that we have a peaceful congregation ceremony.
Director of Media, Alumni and International Relations, University of Sierra Leone, Dr. Tonya Musa, who got his PhD at the amphitheater and not under the mango tree. Thank you very much indeed for coming on the podium this afternoon. And I'll go over again to you, Dr. Francis Smart, Director, Policy Planning and Information, Ministry of Health and Sanitation. Indeed, we had begun discussions around this. So let me ask this, which areas of the country will you be targeting this project?
The project is targeting 5 districts, and these 5 districts are Bont District, Tonkololi District, Falaba District, Kailan District, and Western Area Rural.
Why choose those 5?
We have chosen those 5 districts based on the information data we have. We manage the information for health. Yeah. And in that information, we have a couple of issues around disease, morbidity, and mortality. So meaning districts that are at high risk for maternal and child health, mortality and mobility. These are the districts. But also, administratively, we looked at other districts that have other support, meaning having donors, having projects that are funded by other partners. So we looked at all that comprehensively so that we relate the funding gaps with disease, mortality and morbidity. So the disease burden, districts that are at higher risk for maternal and child health and well-being were the ones that were selected.
$60 million is a huge sum of money. Given the tendency for monies to be easily misappropriated here, how will you, in good conscience, ensure accountability and stiff credibility?
This is great, and initially I started telling you that we are doing things differently, and I overemphasize always leadership. And so the project is designed such that it is managed. All World Bank health projects, 3 of them currently, managed by a coordinator, that is myself. I coordinate all those.
You are at the helm of affairs.
Yes, I coordinate all the 3 health projects, including this new one. But that being said, it is because I'm the Director of Policy, Plan and Information. So you will see the policy arrangements and design of projects. That being said, we have also in the ministry another unit called the Integrated Health Project Administration Unit, short IPAB. IPAL over the years since 2016 capacity has been built to manage donor funds. As I speak, they manage up to 10 donor funds and they have credibility. But they have credibility also in specific areas the World Bank focuses on, that is procurement. We all know procurement is an issue. So they have very strong capacity, and there's an international technical assistance for procurement. They have also financial management unit, and they also have safeguards unit, environmental health and safeguard units. They have internal control unit. They have internal audits, and so all the mechanisms put together for internal controls is set. But beyond that, what we did in the design was that we went through rigorous project design methodology, and we have, for example, the project appraisal documents referred to as PAD. After that, we also have this document which I brought with me here. This is the project implementation manual. So everything we do, all rules and responsibilities
guided by this book.
Are guided by this book. So in terms of accountability for both results and financial accountability were stipulated here. Beyond that also, what we have done was to bring a new way of monitoring. You know, if you are doing activities, you are implementing, but you are not able to monitor what you are doing appropriately, it means you are doing nothing. If you can't measure what you are doing, you are doing nothing. Professor Wendy Graham will always say. So in that regard, what we have done is that the IPAL that is well equipped with those internal management have responsibility for monitoring of the day-to-day activities and the implementation both at district and national level. Let me emphasize that this project will be implemented at this level and not at national level. So with that, we have set monitoring and evaluation mechanisms such that we on monthly basis, quarterly basis, monitor. Beyond that also, we have what we refer to as project steering committee. We have other line ministries and other people. This committee,
and you're part of that committee as well.
I'm part of that committee, and the chair is our honorable minister. So there are levels of accountability.
So you're saying that there is no room for misappropriation?
There's no room for misappropriation because the guidelines are very clear. We have all the technical expertise, and those structures were set before the project was launched.
And if we were to conclude here, how long will this project last?
This project will last for 5 years, so we are starting now and will end by December 2027.
And you're hopeful that you reduce child mortality?
Definitely will reduce child mortality, and when we are talking about reducing child mortality to 300 for every 100,000 live births, we are looking at 2025. But when it comes to 2027, we will do far better than that, and we are very hopeful that we will go beyond rates like 200 or below that per 100,000 live births.
Dr. Francis Smart, Director, Policy Planning and Information, Minister of Health and Sanitation, I do wish you well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed for being on the podium this afternoon. You're watching the podium live on the national broadcast of the SLBC from our headquarters here on England. With me, Victor Jones. We are going for a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to you. You're watching the podium live on the national broadcaster, the SLBC, with me, Victor Jones, with you this afternoon. Now, continue to send your text messages to the program in case you want to the number 088 373-504, and we shall ensure to read them indeed before the program ends this afternoon. We are steadily moving over to another issue this afternoon. Now, just when everyone thought everything had been put under control, unprecedented chaos broke out. A month ago, the National COVID-19 Response Center slashed almost 80% of its workers. The administration of NACOVAC made strong promises that salaries and incentives owed to workers were going to be paid in full. Surprisingly so, in the early hours of this morning, our newsroom was informed that NACOVAC workers nationwide were on strike, having gone for 7 months without any risk allowance. Meanwhile, much of the world has begun to relax COVID-19 measures. The wearing of face masks in public places in COVID-19-ridden countries like the United States, for instance, is no longer compulsory. Just yesterday, South Africa has joined the bandwagon. NACOVAC receives millions of loans per hour at the Lunge International Airport, but its staff are on strike for over 7 months of unpaid risk allowances. Now the question is, can the strike action make any difference? And if workers are to be paid, how soon can that happen? Well, to talk about this, I do have Frank Kikago, a nurse attached to NACOVAC. Good afternoon, Frank, and pleasant welcome to the program this afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jones, and thank you for having me here.
Surely it's a pleasure having you, but I do pity you indeed. Why choose to come out only now after 7 months?
Well, in our line of service, we put life before mourning. If we have put the strike before or during the COVID pandemic, when the situation was very worst, then maybe we should have been talking of other different things today. And during the time when the outbreak was severe in Sierra Leone, to be specific, we always receive assurance from the leaders and then from NACOVAC themselves by saying, don't worry, we have to pay you, we have to pay you. But initially the arrangement was not on a monthly basis. The arrangement for all weeks allowance for COVID-19 workers, both nurses, doctors, and lab technicians, and all other sectors, it should be weekly basis, every week. But since when they started paying, they have never paid us on a weekly basis. Always after every 1 or 2 months, they give out 1 month. But since last year, April, they stopped paying us. Until this present moment I'm talking here, we have never received no money. We only received money when we protested on the 7th of March. That's when they changed the former NACOVAC chairman, Dr. Sheku Bangura. Now the new chairman came in and said, okay, now this is a new dimension. I am going to put things in place. And then he promised to pay us all backlogs, and then if contract to be extended, then he will inform us. Or those who are going to be laid down, he will also inform when and how it will be done. And then he also promised that he will not start with backlogs. He don't want to keep backlogs under his own tenure as a chairman for NACOVAC. So he's going to pay for January, which is the month he was appointed as chairman for NACOVAC. From January, then he can start again onto backlogs. He paid for January and then he paid for May. Then since then now, we have do all our best. We have had several meetings with them, but nothing hopeful has come out of it.
You know, this is surprising because NACOVAC made a solemn promise to all, over a month ago, to pay every single cent you were owed.
Yes.
Have they done this?
Well, they made a promise, but the promise has not yet been fulfilled.
So you're saying that nothing has been paid?
Nothing. 7 good months. Nothing. From June to December, no single cent has been paid. And then this morning, I heard the chairman by saying that he has reduced the number of workers from 1,405 to 430 workers, right? But initially, when contract was running, at the end of the second wave of COVID-19, those who are to be terminated, they will receive letters of termination. Then those who will continue with NACOVAC, they also call them for a fresh contract agreement, then they sign. From there, the work continue.
How much does NACOVAC charge for a single COVID test nowadays?
Well, I don't know personally the actual amount of it, but according to what we are getting from other sources, that NACOVAC is charging close to 500,000 leons. Some are saying 700,000. So I don't know the actual amount of it.
You see, none of your officials, is here. It's only logical to conclude that they would have refuted all these, allegations you're making. But do you honestly think NACOVAC can, has the sufficient cash to pay you at this moment?
In the last meeting we had with them, Dr. Jambai told us clearly that presently they don't have money. There's not enough fundings in NACOVAC presently.
So but they are conducting tests
yes,
on a daily basis.
But this
and each of those tests cost about
500,000 to 700,000 leons. And now another issue here is every month, for them they are working at NACOVAC, they receive their salaries every month. Their risk allowance every month, as I'm saying here, last week and then the other week before last week, they have received their alerts.
Including the head of NACOVAC?
Of course. They have received their risk allowances for COVID-19.
What's your duty at NACOVAC?
I am a nurse, and then we work at the intensive care unit, right? And then if today NACOVAC receive all the accolades, they are receiving all the praises, whether from Sierra Leone or from World Health Organization or other bodies, it is really nurses and doctors that we are strong in the hospitals, working and taking care of the patients.
So you feel you are being cheated?
We are being cheated and we are being violated. Of course.
Is this strike a unanimous decision among all NACOVAC workers nationwide?
Well, I'm not here only to talk on behalf of nurses or doctors, but I'm talking of all other sectors or all other bodies that have been violated of their civil rights, of not paying them their risk allowances, not only for Freetown but also to the provinces. We are advocating for each and every one. So I'm not here only on my own, or neither I'm only talking of my own center.
Listen, the reality is that COVID response centers is in most countries, I must say, including the wealthy West, are wrapping up operations at the moment.
Yes.
For how long do you think NACOVAC can sustain you?
Well, that is why on March 7th, before we protest at the NACOVAC office, on the 10th of January, we wrote a letter to His Excellency the President, a letter of complaint, which we copied various ministries, departments and agencies and some institutions. We also copied some media houses, and then we never received no call from none of the people whom we copied to. And then we also wrote another letter again to the Inspector General of Police, asking for a permission for a peaceful protest or a demonstration for our risk allowances. We were called at the police headquarters, we explained our views, we explained how we feel, and then they assured us that let us hold on. They will try to talk with NACOVAC to see how best they can settle this issue. But nothing fruitful came out of it, and then we have no other choice again but to protest at the head office.
Finally, Frank, you sound very disgruntled and bitter to me. You see, what if your demands are not met? What will you resort to doing?
Well, it is rather unfortunate a country like Sierra Leone, they don't have respect for health workers, because I risk my life to work for COVID-19, and I work for the government of Sierra Leone, and I work for my country because of the love that I have for the job, the love that I have for humanity, the love that I have for my country, Sierra Leone. And then I don't only risk my own life, but I risk the lives of my family members, my loved ones, friends and relatives. And then because if I was infected, then I went home or I go home, then those who are around me, who will come close to me, they will also become infected. And then if prompt action is not taken, then the entire community will be infected, just like the period of the Ebola outbreak. Some people died due to negligence. Some died from their relatives who were working in the treatment centers. So risking my own life, at the end of it, I have not been paid. It is not good and it is not fair. And then it's at any time I think of it, it never sound good in my mind.
The question is, what are you going to do if you're not
Well,
paid?
we are still trying to. Why we are here presently to talk about it, we want the appropriate authorities to know about it, that since when we protested on the 7th of March, they promised, according to Dr. Jamai, he promised that at the end of March, all backlogs should have been paid or will have been paid. But since then, nothing. So if they fail to pay us, then we will do another protest again or another demonstration again.
Until your money is paid.
If until our money is paid, because it is a total violation of human rights.
Frank K. Kago, nurse attached to NACOVAC, I thank you very much indeed for coming on the podium. I do pity your situation, and I do hope your situation is soon addressed for the better.
Yes,
I do wish you well.
Thank you, sir.
This is the podium live on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. Now, the All Political Parties Association has ended a 2-day retreat in Bo to discuss issues around governance ahead of the 2023 elections. The All Political Parties Association has now got a splitter group, the Consortium of Progressive Political Parties, who described APA's existence as irrelevant as a result of alleged compromise on governance issues that continue to undermine the country's democracy with the government of the day. APA is made of 10 out of 18 registered political parties in the country. The retreat in Bo resolved on several issues around APA's role on the forthcoming elections and how can government subvert the association moving forward. Well, to talk on this very afternoon, I do have Ibrahim Soisise, who is the National Secretary General of the All Political Parties Association. Good afternoon, Ibrahim, and welcome.
Good afternoon, and thanks for having me.
It appears you are still troubled as an organization. There is a splinter, should I call it, party existing within the association, calling what you're doing as, alleged compromise, and which perhaps cordially goes against your ethical codes. We haven't heard from APA in a long while. It seems you were in hibernation. Does this mean you have woken up?
I don't think that's true, because APA has always been there. We are very, very much active, because if you follow through what we've been doing.
Oh, we've been following indeed.
Yeah, several issues that we've intervened, national issues, you understand, we've made a contribution towards that and try to see how best we can salvage the situation. Of course, we have a mandate as the All Political Parties Association. But let me just take you to, as via we are going to, that political parties are integral part of public sector institutions, and the invaluable role they play in promoting democratic good governance, peace, human rights is very, very much important. In a bid to provide a platform for composition on key national issues and challenges, political parties in Sierra Leone desirous of adopting a united front in dialogue with government on issues that may tend to threaten national peace, national security, rebuild any dwindling confidence and trust between the governing and opposition parties, and ensure consultations between both parties. Therefore, this constituent political party decided to work under an umbrella organization called the All Political Parties Association. That is the APA. That is the legitimate platform for political parties.
Are there other illegitimate ones?
Well, I cannot discuss about that. I just want to be focused on the issue of APA, because we believe as political parties we have a critical role to play in terms of advancing political peace, national cohesion in the country.
You made several resolutions in your retreat. You spoke about candidature fee to be reduced, to the following minimum wage.
Yeah, what we did in the retreat, just concluded retreat in Bo, we agreed that political parties, since we are critical stakeholders in terms of promoting national peace and security, that we need to agree in form of having a communique, because this communique that we've already assigned to by 11 registered political parties, before I forgot, let me just take you back. You said APA comprised of 10 registered political parties. We comprise of 11 registered political parties in the country. I will name them.
But there are 18 political parties.
No, yeah,
why are the others not on board?
We have 17 registered political parties. For APA, in APA, we believe we encourage political parties to come on board. But if you feel like you are not going to be a member of the association...
Which of these parties is no longer a member of APA?
I will just take you to the parties that are member of the All Political Party Association.
No, for us not to waste time, I just need the... Is that party that's not a member of APA?
Yeah, there are parties.
Which one?
There are parties. Of course, the APC, the All People's Congress, they were a member of the All Political Party Association, but they opted out.
Why?
I don't know, it's best known to them, but they said they are going out of APA. And we have the UP, the Unity Party, they are not member of APA. The NURP, National Unity and Reconciliation Party, they are not member of APA. We have the People's Movement for Democratic Change, the PMDC. We have the NP, the National Progressive Democrats. Those are the political parties that are not members of APA.
And you don't see anything wrong why they are not members of APA?
Well, as APA, we believe we have a mandate because, as I rightly said, our mandate, one of which is to see how best we work together as political parties, to see how best we harmonize divergent views, because each political party has its own ideology. But when we all come together, we discuss issues of national importance, we have a position on that, and then we address those issues. We see how best we can dialogue with government, because our first call of concern is not to serve as an opposition front, to always attack government on issues. So what normally we do, we engage government on national issues. We dialogue, and then we see how best we can come up with a position. Like for what happened during the cybercrime bill, when they have the decentralization policy, when government wants to look at the statistics, just concluded statistics, we made our position. We made our voice clear to the public.
Well, let's come back to the present. You are advocating that candidature fees be reduced to how much, if I may ask?
Well, what's happened initially, since the last regime, the candidature fee was for presidential candidates during the APC. It was 2 million yuans at that time. Then it was then sent to 100 million yuans. So there was a challenge at that time when we have Christian Atop as the commissioner. So political parties said that we are not going to subscribe to those fees. So those fees were subsidized by the former president, His Excellency and His Bank then subsidized those fees for it to go the same way. So also
the same way how?
For political parties to pay the stipulated amount.
That's how much?
That 2 million at that time for 2012 election. So just after 2012 election, because those fees were tabled before Parliament and it becomes law at that time. So, but political parties struggle to subscribe to those fees. 2018 election again, we said, okay, what we are going to do as political parties, let us agree on a reasonable fee that we all agreed to with NEC. So we had that meeting. We said, well, let us agree on a formula. Those formula, for instance, the presidential candidate fee should be the minimum wage times 12 months times 5 years. That was what was agreed. And it is also in the legal reforms, the electoral legal reforms. So we agreed to that let us have that candidate fee be as the law, so that we and the Electoral Commission, political parties, we all agree on that, because that also is a recommendation coming from the EOM report, Election Management Observation Report, that the high candidate fee has the tendency to block the space for other people to participate in the electoral process.
And you think parties cannot afford 100 million euros?
It's not about parties affording it. It's about how do we open the space for people to participate. That is what we are concerned. And that's the strong concern we take this critique. That is why we put it in that communique that we want to approach government on this for them, because we believe it's a listening government, so that we see easy as to how we all can agree on that reasonable fee that we move.
Lastly, you also want government to start subventing political parties?
Yeah, of course, if you look at the 1991 Constitution, section 35 subsection 1, which says political parties, the reason why political parties are established to help shape the political will of the people, disseminate information of national, important, and social and economic character. So research has shown that there is an urgent need to build on the institutional and administrative capacity of political parties. If you want political parties to go out, disseminate information of national importance, first build on their capacities as an institution, credible institution, viable institution that will contest for governance, and elections. So with that, we believe that there is a need for them to build on their capacity, because when you look at when we have national issues or concern, let's say for what happened in the time of the Ebola, political parties they came together. They support government that this is not for any political gain. It's about our people. So if you build on their capacity for them to understand that politics is not about war or enmity, it's about a game of contest of ideas and ideologies, then we'll have sanity in our politics.
Given the political landscape in Sierra Leone, do you think that is doable?
Well, I think that would be achieved if really we are determined to do that.
Well, National Secretary General, All Political Parties Association, Ibrahim Soisisi, I thank you very much indeed for being on the podium. I wish we had sufficient time to discuss through all the issues, but I'm sure we will have subsequent editions of the program to have these issues discussed. But I thank you very much indeed